Now to those rising tensions on the streets of Hong Kong. Police and protesters going into an 11th week of clashes.
Hong Kong International Airport has cancelled all remaining flights for a second day in a row.
He's trying to get independence, and if they make any concessions here, it'll set a dangerous precedent back home. And the gulf between these two sides is now dangerously wide.
It's been months since Hong Kong demonstrators took to the streets in what started as protests against a controversial extradition bill and have now turned into a massive movement against China's authoritarian government. The pro-democracy demonstrations quickly turned violent when protesters continued to march in areas of the cities banned by the police. This, unfortunately, gave authorities the perfect excuse to meet protesters with violence. According to the New York Times, Hong Kong police have fired nearly 2,000 rounds of tear gas against demonstrators in these past months. In late July, a group of men dressed in white and armed with wooden sticks and steel rods appeared in the city's Yuen Long MTR station at midnight, attacking protesters and bystanders alike, leaving 45 injured, including one person in critical condition. Many believe these armed thugs were paid by the Hong Kong government, though Chief Executive Carrie Lam denies these allegations. Meanwhile, Chinese media claims the protests have all been orchestrated by the CIA, describing them as behavior that is close to terrorism, and carrying out military demonstrations on the other side of the border in an attempt to intimidate the unrelenting protesters. So far, it hasn't worked. The movement has showed no signs of stopping, that is, until the Hong Kong government listens to their demands. But what exactly are the protesters demanding, and why do their demands matter? You're watching Explore Mode, and today we're diving into the Hong Kong protests and the 5 demands demonstrators are marching for. The protesters have 5 demands. First, the complete removal of the proposed changes to the Extradition Bill. Second, for the government to stop referring to the protests as riots. Third, the total release of arrested protesters, including dropping charges against them. Fourth, an independent investigation into police behavior. And fifth, the enforcement of universal suffrage. The second, third, and fourth demands are quite self-explanatory. We'll get into the first and fifth. The first demand was the catalyst of the pro-democracy movement. In February of 2019, the Hong Kong government announced it would revise the Fugitive Offenders and Mutual Legal Assistance in Criminal Matters Legislation Bill, now commonly referred to as the Extradition Bill. The revisions would allow Hong Kong to decide case by case whether to transfer suspected criminals to territories it doesn't have formal extradition deals with. Government officials say the bill amendments were proposed in response to a murder case, where a Hong Kongese local escaped Taiwan after allegedly murdering his pregnant girlfriend while traveling there. The accused man fled back to Hong Kong. The lack of an extradition bill between the two territories prevented him from standing trial in Taiwan. Authorities claim the bill would fix these legal loopholes so that Hong Kong would not be a refuge for criminals. So does that mean Hong Kongers are against a bill that would hold criminals accountable? Not quite. Hong Kong hosts several political refugees and Chinese dissidents who have fled the CCP's authoritarian government. If the bill were to pass, many of these refugees and virtually anyone who openly denounces the Chinese government would risk facing China's arbitrary legal system. Between October and December 2015, 5 staff of Causeway Bay Books, an independent bookshop in Hong Kong, disappeared under suspicious circumstances, only to resurface under detention in Chinese territory. The cause for detention? Publishing and selling books that are banned in China or that criticize the Chinese regime. After their case caught the attention of the international media, the bookshop owners were released. According to the South China Morning Post, China accused them of selling 4,000 banned books from Hong Kong to 380 customers in China since October 2014. If the proposed amendments were to pass, the bookshop owners living in Hong Kong and other political activists would be in grave danger. To those unfamiliar with the history of Hong Kong, it may come as a surprise that the region holds elections, and yet protesters are asking for the right to vote. But the truth of the matter is, China has been tightening its grip around Hong Kong's democracy and they have the final say in who gets elected as the region's chief executive. But to understand why protesters are asking for universal suffrage, we must understand Hong Kong's complicated political past. Here's an Express Explorer explanation. Start the clock. Hong Kong went from being part of the Qing Dynasty Empire to being surrendered to the British Empire at the end of the First Opium War in 1842. After winning the Second Opium War in 1860, the British Empire forced the Qing Dynasty to lease the new territories, which include Kong Island and the Kowloon Peninsula, for 99 years, starting from 1898. In 1997, the territories were handed back to China under the condition that the CCP would allow the region to follow a one-country, two-systems form of government that would let Hong Kong have its own economic, political, and administrative system for 50 years after the handover. Hong Kong's autonomy will last until 2047, a deadline that looms harshly over its progressive citizens. So, unlike China, Hong Kong does have an election system, but not everyone can vote. Instead, only members of the election committee are allowed to elect Hong Kong's leader. Here's how it works. The election committee is an electoral college made up of 1,200 members. Elections for the committee happen every 5 years. Each member belongs to one of 4 sectors called functional constituencies, which include the industrial, commercial, and financial sectors, the professions, which include subsectors like education, health services, and Chinese medicine, labor, social services, religious, and other sectors, and finally, governmental authorities. Each sector has a total of 300 members, which can be further categorized into subsectors. Here's the catch. Only those who are part of these 4 constituencies can vote for the election committee. In 2016, only 3% of Hong Kong's population were allowed to cast their vote. That's a shocking statistic for a region with over 7 million citizens. And even though the election committee gets to choose the chief executive candidates, the elected candidate has to go through a final hurdle, that is, being approved by Beijing. This election system makes it virtually impossible to elect a candidate that's not essentially a puppet of the Chinese regime. But why is China, which is already an economic powerhouse, holding on to Hong Kong so tightly? Well, Hong Kong is a key financial hub in Asia, and ironically, its openness to foreign markets make it essential for China to have economic access to international businesses. In fact, the majority of Chinese foreign investment flows through Hong Kong. According to The Economist, the region enjoys many benefits from having an open economy that China does not have, such as a higher credit rating, lower risk weights for bank and counterparty exposures, the ability to clear dollars easily, independent membership of the World Trade Organization, equivalent status for its stock exchange with those in America, Europe, and Japan, recognition as a developed stock market by index firms, and cooperation agreements with other securities regulators. But apart from the region's economic value, what China fears most is what the protests symbolized: a defiance to their power, a type of defiance they had not had to face since the 1989 Tiananmen protests. But unlike the young university students that hopefully took over Tiananmen Square over 30 years ago, only to be met by ruthlessly violent authorities, Hong Kong protesters know better than to face police unarmed and unprotected. Geared with gas masks and protective eyewear, they fearlessly launch bricks and umbrellas at police and have even devised ways to neutralize tear gas canisters. They have been criticized for not maintaining the peaceful protest approach they had begun with. But can a society truly fight for a new political order through peaceful marches? Thanks for watching Explore Mode. If you like topics like these, make sure to check out the video we've made on the Tiananmen Square massacre and China's surveillance state. If you like our videos, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and of course, hit that notification bell so we can let you know when another video is up. If you have any suggestion for future videos, let us know in the comments below. We're always up for exploring any topics you find interesting. See you next week, and in the meantime, leave your Explore mode on.